you have to entrust, and it's about delegation. It's about getting in the right people around you to almost to hand the baton on to trust them.
Simon from Dark Horses, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you.
Touching a year and a new studio as well. The last time we were in, we had a really good chat, so it's great to have you back in.
Yeah.
Off camera, we were chatting about the growth that Dark Horses has gone through, and we want to talk about culture today.
Yeah.
Because Dark Horses, you talked about last and briefly about how good the culture is internally. Now you're scaling, now you're growing to completely new regions as well, but you want to keep that company culture.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about the challenges.
How easy it is to keep the culture.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's been almost a year since I met you guys.
Yeah.
I think back then we were 23 people. We're now 50 as of this morning. 3 new joiners today. So yeah, it's been a lot of growth. And yeah, as you guys said, I think one of the best things we've got going for us as an agency is that culture. And what I mean by culture is good collaborative people who are willing to work with each other, work closely, very generous with their times.
Yeah.
And off the back of that, we find that has been creating great work. Obviously, as we grow, I spend a lot of my time recruiting, and
all of your time now, is it?
Yeah, a lot of my time, which is great. It's amazing meeting people, but you know, everyone that comes through the door now, we're trying to preserve the culture, and you obviously want the generation of people coming through to feel the same way about the brand, and as you get bigger, that's where the challenge is.
Yeah, it's probably a good place. It's probably a good place to start for the audience watching. They're all entrepreneurs. They're all scaling their businesses, right? Or doing their very best to hiring a person. So a person comes in. Hey, Simon, really nice to meet you. They're all suited and booted and they're ready to go for an interview. How do you ensure that it is a good culture fit?
Yeah.
Because you can ask somebody, you know, what do you do on the weekends? And they go, it's a sports agency. I play football. I watch football. I play tennis. My cousin plays for Arsenal. You know, and they can go on because they know.
And also, it's funny you say that. It's sort of, I'm aware that as we've grown, there's more information publicly available. There's almost a cheat sheet out there, really, that. You know,
look at their Instagram, their Facebook,
and
LinkedIn.
It's interesting that you kind of. I mean, I hate making an assessment of a person in one meeting. I think what we do try and do is encourage other members of the team at all levels to be part of the interview process. Again, and that's another sign of growth, is that maybe I'm not as close to the culture as actually some of the people who we recruited in the last year. And so getting those guys involved in the decision-making process is important. But yeah, it's the nature of the interview process is that you have to make these sort of judgments on people in a short period of time.
How has the culture changed for you personally? Because like I know we've spoken in the past as well, where you were saying you were quite close with your team. Now like it's gotten bigger, and you're probably not as close to some of the employees as you'd like to be, or probably even as you can be.
And that's one of the big sort of challenges I've got as a person at the moment, which I'm really enjoying. But just working out my role within the business. I think, as I mentioned to you guys previously, I very much sit in the middle of these amazingly talented people who all have a skill set within the marketing world. I don't necessarily have that skill set. I'm the guy that helps get the new business. I've set up the business. I've got the structure. I'm almost the fire starter of the business. But it's working out what my role is, because obviously, just by sheer volume, I can't know everyone as much as I did 2 years ago. So it's sort of it's understanding how I build relationships with people, how I can make them aware that I am here for them. But at the same time, I'm realistically not going to be available for everyone on a Sunday morning for a chat if they've just been dumped by their boyfriend. It's just working out how I offer myself and how I can help the team.
It's interesting because we had someone on the show a couple of weeks back, and they were talking about the recruitment process with them briefly in the interview, and they said it wasn't about hiring quickly for culture and for growth. It's also about firing quickly. Yeah. Right. And if someone comes in and they're a little bit of a bad apple.
Yeah.
Is that the right way to put it?
A polite way of putting it.
But no, you understand what I mean. And so and someone comes in and they're maybe a nice guy, nice girl, they're maybe talented, but maybe they don't fit the culture, or maybe. But what happens is a lot of times, if they do fit the culture and they don't fit the job role, what effect does that have of Simon coming in? He used to be the nice guy ever, and talking to me about my boyfriend dumping me and blah blah blah, and now he's not letting someone go in the team who I liked. Is that something that you've come up against?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good point, and I think it's something that's come up a fair bit, to be honest with you. I think we're on this journey together. I think the one thing that I'll always be honest, and I think sometimes if if myself and the leadership group feel someone's not right for a role, we will be transparent. We'll obviously give them the opportunity to address it. But I think when you get to that situation, it's as much for their benefit as our benefit. And I really mean that. And I think that, you know, sometimes it doesn't work out for a whole host of reasons. But I think, as you quite rightly said, as soon as that is dealt with, the better for everyone involved.
Yeah.
But listen, it can be tough. And, you know, I have sleepless nights sometimes wondering that the speed at which we recruit, maybe that was partially I'm responsible for that person coming in and not being right. And I take responsibility for that. But I think that...
As in, like what, you might be rushed into a decision?
Yeah, I think so. And maybe not done the due diligence about the person's actual skill sets. And that the buck stops to me. I'm the one that makes the offer to them. So, you know, that is something that I do think about a lot. But the reality is we are growing quickly. We do make mistakes, and that's just the nature of the beast.
So what's important to you when you're actually interviewing someone? Like, what's going through your head? Are you like, obviously you're going, is this person a good fit? Does this person have the skills that are needed? Will this person fit in with the company? How often do you interview them? Like, do you have a you can tell, I only interview for someone once, or do you call them in? Like some companies, we know they go on like 20 interviews.
I mean, it varies for the roles. I mean, I'm a big believer in giving people the opportunity. And I think that, especially at a junior level, I've said earlier, I'm not from the creative agency world. I've learnt on the job. I'm a big believer in if you've got a bit of emotional intelligence, if you're hardworking, if you're a nice person, then I'm willing to give you the opportunity. I think that at a young age, I think that works for both parties, because let's be honest, there's no such thing as a job for life anymore. So, you know, a 22-year-old grad coming into the business, it's as much trying me out as we're trying them out. And I think that we're willing to let them in, but by no means they're signing their life away when they join us. You know, I fully expect, or not fully expect, but I would not be surprised if after a year they want to move on. That's just the nature of the world we live in now. So I think as long as there's a core group within the agency that is together and sort of guiding the ship, I think we're okay, because people will obviously always come and go.
Just on that point where you were saying there, when someone is testing you out as much as you're testing them out, how difficult is that on a business when hiring someone? Because you take someone on, you're scaling up and you're growing. You want to be able to fill the position and move on, and then fill another position and move on. So when you're filling a position and then you're moving on and you kind of go, right, now there's another position, and if someone's just handed in their notice, now there's two positions. So like, what kind of knock-on effect does that have?
There is a bit of that, and I think obviously the biggest thing we're trying to preserve is not to damage the culture, but also preserve client relations, because obviously if you have an account team that is regularly changing on a piece of business, it doesn't look good if they're continually leaving, because the client is just building relationships with them and then suddenly they leave. So there's an element of protecting that from the outside world, but then more importantly, internally, making sure you don't create a culture where, you know, people are regularly leaving. I mean, to be honest, we've been incredibly lucky. I don't think we've had anyone leave. I was about to say voluntarily, but that sounds terrible, doesn't it? Sorry, we've not had anyone choose to leave, but that sounds terrible.
They're not allowed.
No, but that you know, that's been good, and it will happen, of course. But I think that the way we're set up, we have the sort of the safety checks in place. I do believe it's an environment where people, if they have problems, can talk to myself or others.
My door is always open.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly. Thing, and it is a safe environment to make mistakes, and I think that's really important as well.
Yeah. What's your advice for founders that are watching the show about, obviously, if a founder is not as young as people they're hiring, which in your case 22-year-old grads, about understanding them? They might be going home at even time and spending their evening on TikTok, because that's the new platform that's growing, blah blah blah. What advice would you give about hiring people that are, you know, that much more younger of a generation?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think, you know, I am definitely at the stage now where there are things happening within the agency that I don't know about culturally, or there will be WhatsApp groups that I'm not in and things like that, which is...
It stings.
Yeah, it really hurts. No, it doesn't, but it kind of, I'm fully aware of that, and I'm fully aware of, you know, there are social events that I don't get invited to.
Comes with growth, though.
It does. It comes with growth, and it also comes with the fact that I'm 20 years older than a lot of the people, and so it's one of those things where I have to remind myself of that, and you know, and I think that you have to entrust, and it's about delegation. It's about getting in the right people around you to almost to hand the baton on to trust them.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, we have management team meetings, and we have a number of sort of internal ways to ensure that, you know, those people are acting appropriately. But we do, yeah, it's you have to sort of know when to almost step away. And I look at the agency like a sort of living organism, and I don't interfere. I'm not micromanaging people, but, you know, every now and then when I spot something that I really feel is worth raising, I will. But you have to let it live and breathe a bit.
Simon, you're not too old for our group. You know, so thank you so much for coming on the show.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Cheers.